So go ahead and hit record. And I'm going to share my screen now. And I'm going to go to Photoshop. So, and just let me know if for some reason you're not seeing my screen or if we run into any technical issues here. So in Photoshop, this is the image that I have for the animated GIF. Move this down here. And you've probably I don't know if you've gotten this far. Maybe I should back up and start with the first homework assignment. So this is the file formats. And let me just close that one for now so we can look at this. So in Photoshop, I'm going to go to Window, Arrange, and I'm going to tile 3 up vertical so you can see all 3 images at the same time. And I just have this image and they're all saved at the same size. So if I go to this first one, I go to Image Size, and then I can look at the actual file size here. And because we're working with web, I always look at it in pixels. So this is 250 by 250 pixels, and I've set it to 96 ppi. So you've probably read the resolution article that I had posted for this module, and I typically like to use a 96 resolution. It seems kind of a standard resolution for most screens, but that varies. So I have some classrooms where the screen resolution is closer to 72, and then some now are much higher resolution. So once you don't know the viewers who are going to be viewing your websites, there will be a variety of screen resolution. So kind of 96 is kind of a good middle ground there. So that's why I like to save mine at 96. And then you can also see if under image mode, I'm going to always be in RGB mode because that's the color gamut we use for web. And it's actually a larger color gamut. So if you're using CMYK, that's a print color mode, and you're going to actually lose some color. So we want to stick with the RGB here. And then I have my PNG version and my GIF version. So for when you go to File, Save As, you can save as JPEG, and then here's the GIF is the CompuServe GIF. And then you can also select the PNG format. And that's all we're looking at in these file formats. So if you were an illustrator and working with a vector file, for example, you could save it as an SVG, scalable vector graphic, but we're not going to worry about that right now. So we're mainly using photos or artwork, and we're going to use these 3 versions. So going back to image size, if you wanted to change the resolution for some reason, you want to uncheck resample so that you don't have interpolation or pixelation happen. So if I wanted to increase this, let's say to 100 ppi, then you'll see, and I can reset this to see what it was before, the width and the height will actually go down a bit. If I uncheck resample here. And that's what you want to happen, because if you check resample, it's going to add pixels that aren't in the original image. So if I change this to 200, you'll see the pixelation start to occur with the interpolation of pixels. So you just want to avoid that, because then the image will look deteriorated. So you want to start with the size of the image that you can't add to the size of the image. For example, you can't make it a larger size. All you can do is uncheck resample, and then the width and the height will either go down or up depending on if your resolution goes up or down. So for web now, it doesn't really matter if it's 300 ppi or 96 ppi, and that what you see on the screen is all going to look the same. What it matters is for uploading those files. So if you've got images that are saved at 300 ppi, for example, it's going to take a super long time to load when someone's on your site, and it's just unnecessary. It's unnecessary to have such a high resolution because you're going to view it on like a 96 ppi screen most likely, and so there's no reason to have a 300 ppi image loaded on your website. Any questions about that for the resolution and image formats? No, I went through that kind of quickly. Okay, cool. Then I'm going to close these and open up the animated GIF. So here, I've got this one. And you want to, this is the next homework assignment. So this is due next week. So I don't know if you've had a chance to start on it yet or not, but there's a lot of different ways to approach it. And what I did was I took this still image of my son, and then I cloned pieces. So I created layers. If you can see my layers here, move this stuff around. So I've got several layers here. So I started with one still image, and then I would create a new layer. So let's say here I create a new layer. It's just a blank layer, and then I would cut pieces of the hair out of the background and then paste it into a new layer, and then I would actually rotate the hair around to make it look like it's moving. So I have a lot of different layers with the hair moving around. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this layer. Well, I'll just leave it there for now. So you can see I'm going to turn on these different layers. That the hair, each layer, the hair is in a different position. And then I went to Window Timeline to turn this timeline on, and here's my options menu. Then I select all of the frames, and then you can, actually let me start over by deleting the animation. And then under the options menu, I select make frames from layers. And then I can set it to a forever loop. I can change it to 0.2 seconds. So I want each one to be 0.2 seconds long. Then I can play the animation. And what I did was I selected all these layers. Let me delete this one. And then I just copied the frames, and then I pasted the frames right after the selection to lengthen my series here. So it's just repeating the same series. So I've got to make the animation a little bit longer. So I've got the hair blowing, and then it just repeats another sequence of the hair blowing. So I just copied and pasted. So that's one way you can make your animation a little bit longer if you wanted to. And you can also increase the time for each individual layer if you wanted to. And then when you're done with that, you can export it. And you can go to the website I have linked here on the animated GIF and watch the video to go through another way that I created an animated GIF, and then written instructions step by step here on how to do that. So that's your next, and you want to look over the rubric. You want at least 6 or 7 layers to get full credit on that. So make sure you got at least that many, and just look over the specs on that rubric assignment that's on the assignment sheet for the animated GIF. And then make sure that you comment on someone's animated GIF. And same thing with the file formats. You want to comment on someone's file format too, and choose which file format you think is best for that image that they chose. So let's go back to the course page. There's my weekly schedule. And I'm going to go to Module 2. And we'll just see what's up there right now. So we've got, it's just taken a while, several posts already. And if you click on it, you can see what other people have posted and then just comment saying, what, for this particular image, do you think JPEG, PNG, or GIF is best suited for that image? And when you upload them here, make sure that your files aren't too large either. So just remember that the point of this is that they're web-ready images. So you don't want these huge files submitted here. You want the kind of format and size that you would want to use on your website for one of your final websites, for example. And then I'm going to go back to the next section, that animated GIF one. We've got some examples here too. And then you want to make sure that you include in your text that you've written how many layers you use to create that animated GIF, and then how you would use it on your website. So that pretty much covers what I wanted to go over for our Photoshop assignments. Any other questions, or any questions at all? Are you feeling good about Photoshop? Okay, it looks like we're good on that. So then I want to switch over to the quiz now. And I got this quiz open up in Adobe Acrobat. So that should be available on, it's part of the Adobe Creative Cloud or Creative Suite. So if you're at the library on campus, you should be able to access the Adobe Acrobat. If you don't, that's okay, but I do just want to show you how you can edit the quiz that's uploaded onto the course page. So if you open this up in Adobe Acrobat, you click on this right arrow here, and then you can edit. I'm going to click on Show Bounding Boxes so you can see up here in this panel you can add text. So I can actually add a text box here, and I can just type in the answer there. And then I can click on Show Bounding Boxes to see my frames. And you can also just type directly in here and create that text frame and the fill in the blank sections. And then you can just resave it with your name on it. If you just want to save with your name and quiz 1, and then submit that PDF file to the submission area. Another way, if you don't have access to Acrobat or you don't feel comfortable using it this way, you can just open it up and read the document and just type in your answers directly on As You Learn, or you can use any text editing program if you want to use just Word or something else, or you can type it directly into our submission area. So let me go back to our course page here. So here's quiz 1. And then just click on the submission area, and you can you can type in your answers there too. Okay, I'm gonna grab a cough drop and start coughing. Are there any questions about the quiz? Okay, great. Excuse me. Or do you have any questions that I didn't cover then? Any questions about the course at all? Okay, that's fine. Yeah, sometimes there may be students who have specific questions, and then we just kind of spend the meeting talking about that or answering that question. But And at this point, it's still pretty early on in the semester that there may not be too many questions. Yes, I would like you to directly place the images in the post rather than attach them so that it's visible at the, yeah, so it's clearly visible and you don't have to download anything. Oh, that's a great question. It's always good to clarify. And we don't forget that we've got that a couple of places where we've got the Google Plus community, and I am going to require that you join that, but later on there will be kind of a due date just to make sure. But it's always good to go ahead and just go there and just join the community. I'm going to try to post some resources and things in there for the class. So don't forget to do that. Just know that there will be a deadline at some point in the class where you'll be using that community to communicate with your groups. So at some point you do want to go ahead and join that if you haven't already. And also remember that I've got my weekly schedule posted, so if you ever need to meet with me face-to-face or just an individual video meeting, you can just sign up in one of these spaces here. The blue places are when I'm at Harper Hall in Office 135. These times I'm in the classroom teaching, and then because it's the blackout areas, I'm not available. And then also we have that remind link that you can access if you go back to the announcements page and you go back to the welcome page, and there's a link to if you want to download that app. And I just send in the reminders for when assignments are due or like for this Zoom meeting if you just prefer to have the reminder on an app rather than through this announcements form. Otherwise, I pretty much send all our communication through this forum for updates and so forth. So once you finish up with Module 2, you want to immediately go into Module 3. So we still have another week of Module 2. Some people are getting a head start, and that's great because it's easy to get behind in this class, especially as we start moving into more website-heavy stuff. So you don't, if you want to and you're able to work ahead, that's great. And then the Module 3, there's a reading and some videos if you click on here. And you can go ahead and view those videos, and we're going to start in Muse to do a site plan in Muse for Module 3. And then in Module 4 is when we're really going to have a lot of stuff. We're going to start in Dreamweaver. We're going to actually create a web page and have it loaded to the ASU website or whatever, whichever server you're using. Then we'll have a midterm survey, and then that's when you'll have to sign up for the, I think, yeah, the professional site. You'll need to choose a partner for your professional website, and then you'll want to sign up in the Google Plus or join the Google Plus community too. So that's just kind of a heads up. And then next Monday, I'm going to do another Zoom. Let me just close these out here. On February 12th, I'm going to do a morning or during the day one, and I'll send a reminder for that too, and I'll cover a little bit more or answer any questions about Muse since we'll be starting off in Muse in that in the next module. So like I said, I really didn't have that much to cover today. And just want to, hopefully this is the way where I can kind of talk to some of you more individually and address any kind of issues that you may be having. So if you don't have any today, that's fine. Maybe next time, anytime you do have questions, just bring them to the meeting. And if you don't want to wait that long, you don't have to. Just email me if you want to do an individual meeting Google Hangout is a better way I found for individual one-on-one video meetings. But if that doesn't work, we can do Zoom too for just one-on-one video chats or any kind of chat as well if you've got a question or want me to go over something. So that is all that I have to cover, Laura and Shelton. Is there anything else you would like to add or any questions that popped up? Okay, great. Well, good. We're doing good. Okay, yeah, and if you think of questions later on, just feel free to, like I said, email me or sign up on that weekly schedule to meet with me. Yes, I've heard that from a lot of people, so I really want to make sure that that's not an issue with this class, and that's why I've set up these conferences, and I really just want to be available to you in whatever way is best for you, whether it's through Zoom or Google Hangout or face-to-face in an office. So, or if you don't need me at all, that's fine too, whatever works for you. Okay, well, that looks like that's all for tonight. And I'm gonna stop recording and stop sharing my screen. And I hope that you have a great rest of the night. Make sure you get the assignment in that's due today. And even if you think of anything in the next few minutes, just send me an email and I can jump back onto Zoom if needed. So I'll be available. Okay, you're welcome. Night.